This is going so well.
Okay. Oh! Got it. Good save.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Working with Rachel is a lot of fun. A lot of people probably wonder what it's like. This is what it's like.
It is really exciting to be closing out Mudroom Builds' chapter here on my channel. We have roughly 2 episodes left, and I already started doing this laundry room makeover in phases with you guys, and I really wanted to focus on this corner, which was a little bit boring and not functional, and turn it into a workspace, but also an accent to the room to make it look larger than what it is. If you want to check out the entire makeover for the laundry room, I actually put that over on Extra Space Storage's channel, so I will link that for you as well. It's been kind of intimidating to design and decorate and woodwork in another woodworker's space. That's never been the case for me, but I'm very lucky to have Mike be so relaxed and open to what I want to do. Also give me feedback and redirect when he sees fit because it is his home. So him and I have been game planning a lot together, but the full execution, he's just popping in and out of.
Happy?
Status update. Rachel's doing great.
I feel like I've really been finding myself out here and just diving into being a little bit more risky, but making these larger quote unquote builds available to you as well. The fun thing about this accent corner is going to be that the sheets are 4x8 sheets of plywood that you can get ripped down at your local hardware store. Typically walls are 8 feet tall, so you won't need crazy power tools for this big transformation, which is nice. As you saw, Mike and I were game planning, so I'm writing down everything he really wanted in a workstation, but before I'm drilling into this walls, obviously I need to be finding the studs, which we've done here before on our channel, but something that I have not shown you, and honestly I did not know existed, was the Zircon Breaker ID circuit finder, and this thing is gonna literally save your legs when you're running back and forth trying to figure out your electrical. There are 3 different versions available. There is the Breaker ID Pro 300 that you see here in the nifty little suitcase with all the accessories for anything you are going to need to be testing finding the circuit on. There is a basic model that has the wall plug-in, and also the Breaker ID Pro 600, which is used for higher voltage and needed in commercial applications. I've linked all 3 down below for you. It's a very simple one-person task to identify the correct circuit breaker for each outlet with the Zircon Breaker ID line. So this plugs in, and when the light lights up, it's on. Okay, so when this light is on, that means it is on. Rachel, don't forget. Now that we have the breaker ID plugged in, we're gonna run out to the circuit breaker box and scan it with the other half and figure out which one just by scanning it and not having to run back and forth. So we're gonna do that fairly quickly. The lighting is not going to be the best because there is no shade over there on Mr. Mike's side of the house where the breaker box is. So follow me. Follow me. Oh my gosh, it's windy too. You guys are lucky, I love you. Okay, so on the circuit scanner, you are going to position it in the way that the photo shows on the back of it if you need a reference, and scan through after switching it on the entire breaker box. When you go back on your second scan, when the light lights up green, that lets you know that's the circuit that you need to shut off, that you're looking to shut the power off to in order to work safely. This step is usually not performed because without breaker ID, it can be a very time-consuming and frustrating process to figure out which breakers to shut down by trial and error, which is one of my biggest pet peeves if I'm being completely honest. I mean, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I'm always changing out outlets to update the space since it's such an easy tip and trick for any room. And this wall has 4 on the wall, which is pretty intense, but it's nice to be able to unplug the plug-in portion with the red light and test each one to ensure 110% that there is no electrical currency in there while I go in to swap it out and update. The main differences between the basic and pro version are how much voltage that they can handle or how the transmitter can access the voltage with the adapters to send a signal. So with the Breaker ID Pro, you basically get everything you need to test any kind of circuit in your house. Whereas with the basic version, you just get that plug-in. So if it was me, I would get the Breaker ID Pro just to have everything on hand. I asked Ben, Jesse, and even showed Mike this tool. They never knew it existed and were just as excited as me. So it's fun to be able to have Mike test it out on his own home and get just as hyped as I do. If you guys want to check out the Zircon Breaker ID Basic, Pro 300, or the Pro 600, you can click the link down below in the description box. After ensuring all the electricity was off to everything that I wanted to touch and there was nothing happening on any of the wires, I moved forward with updating the light fixture that I used in my own bedroom makeover previous, which is stunning. It's a great way to chic up any space. I then moved forward to feeling comfortable with touching the walls since the wires are not hot behind it, since there were a lot of outlets over in this area. My cousin Gabby was out for the week assisting me to learn a little bit more of the carpentry world, so it was nice to have some hands to sand down the 4x8 sheets of plywood that we needed to just make it look silky smooth with a little bit of 80 grit to a 120 to a 220 because, you know, you're gonna be touching, leaning up against it, you know, brushing your hands. You don't want any splinters. We moved those big pieces into the laundry room and we all were kind of taken back, like, how is this exactly gonna fit? It looked way bigger than the room, but once we had it up in place, it's crazy where you're like, oh wow, that actually fits. And yeah, that's exactly why it makes the room look larger than what it is. I refused to give up on these sheets of plywood. I know they were a little bit warped because of the weather lately here in Joshua Tree, so that is why I'm taking my power stance to try to take out the bow and hit the stud behind it to grip it, because that's all we need. We just need one screw to go in to then make this sheet of plywood flush and not have to waste it and run to the hardware store and buy a new sheet of plywood. I just did not want to do that.
Oh my gosh. I got it this time.
Yes!
There we go.
Yes!
That was the most difficult thing in the world. You almost headbutted the...
I know, I really got
It's so fun. It's so fun working with me. Look at that face zoom in on that reaction.
And it needs to go end over end, I think.
No, no.
Oh, okay.
Just like that, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was pretending it was going on this wall. My bad. Forget everything I said.
It has been insanely comforting to be able to come to Joshua Tree. And look, I only said it twice this episode, you guys. It's cool to come here and have a community of makers. I didn't realize how much I was missing that back in the city, but being able to be so close to people and constantly collaborate on different projects such as this, even just getting a new eye or just some feedback of a different screw, it doesn't matter. I have never been more fulfilled as a carpenter than to be able to learn from my peers so directly and hands-on. It's really nice. While Mike and I worked on getting that smaller piece because it was also bowed into the stud and just making sure it was nice and flush, Gabby was taking off this trim on the inside of the door because I had this idea that if it wasn't directly holding it in and totally compromising the glass on either side, I wanted to do a quick update. That wasn't the case. It was definitely holding it in nice and secure, so we opted to just kind of leave the door as is until Mike wants to update it. It's cool because even though the plywood backing was exactly what I planned, the plan on top of that with the one whiteboard and the shelves were definitely not really what I was trying to do, but that's what I had to make this corner work. And I think that's the one thing about DIY that people underestimate is the power of adapting and not getting mad at adapting as well, because you can always change it later if you do not like it. My original drawing had two arched whiteboards on here, but once I placed them up onto the wall, it just did not make sense. Like Mike wouldn't be writing all the way up there or all the way down on the floor. So once I realized we needed to make this realistic and functional, that's where you see me taping out the plan for hooks, a whiteboard, and some shelving, because quite frankly, that is what is going to be utilized over here. I decided to paint that whiteboard frame, the pop of orange that I'm using throughout this laundry room. That's a great, easy way to customize any whiteboard that you'd like. And I moved forward with doing those pocket hole floating shelves I've done here a bunch of times. Now, these are not holding a ton of weight whatsoever. They are just holding like markers or a magic eraser, but they are pretty heavy duty enough to hold a plant or two, which is nice. As far as the hooks that you see, I just chose a gradient, again, to tie that pop of color onto the wood since I didn't want it to be so wood on wood on wood. I did display his 1,000,000 subscriber play button, which I'm pretty sure he'll take down since he gets a little bit nervous about hanging stuff up like that. Taking that down, he doesn't like that being up.
I'm a humble guy.
But I thought it was a cool moment to add it here because it's like a little subtle flex of all his hard work. I carried over that framing out at the outlet with the smaller dowels to make it look a little bit more chic to this corner as well. We did that previously on the catch-all on the opposite wall. I also added caulk where you saw those gaps in the wood. It's a beige, so that will clean it up a little bit more. And the piece de resistance to add a little bit of pop of texture and another pop of color is the notorious pipe and flange that I've been using a ton over here, but instead of the pipe, I'm using copper pipe to add that orange burnt tone and these cute little macrame hangers. Mike was about to throw away this bench, but I wanted to repurpose and redecorate it to see if he wanted to keep it just a little bit longer by adding bins underneath for extra storage and some pillows to decorate it a bit, and good energy on the other side with the money tree, a nice salt rock thing that I found, and a pop of blue because that tends to be his color over here. What a journey it's been the first couple months of 2021 over here in Modern Builder's house sitting and whatnot. But I am so grateful to Mike for allowing me to be so creatively free and kind of do whatever I want to this room, making it his little breath of fresh air as he executes his entire home and then visits this room last, which I'm excited to see what he does. Thank you so much to Zircon for keeping me safe in each DIY and introducing the tools that are going to keep my humans here safe as well and just be better carpenters all in all. You guys, I'm just very excited. We are one episode away from fully diving into the house and not looking back for quite some time. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what we do together. So I love you guys very much. I will see you soon for another DIY.